We're on a series. We're talking about a series. This is the third part. And it's committed to spiritual skills. An absolute spiritual skill that definitely will always lead to success is one word. And that word is vision. Vision is a spiritual skill that creates change, growth, encouragement, a plan, deadlines, and transformation in our life. And vision is one of the most commanding and authoritative ways to put what I understand as the power of God to work in our life. Because the vision ultimately, when it's a great vision, the vision always, when it has our palms sweating, if you will, the vision that we believe that we cannot do when it first crosses our mind is always God's vision for our life. And if we negotiate it down, that's our ego. And if we make excuses that we can't, that's our personality. That is never God that is going to call us to be less than who and what we are on this day. And the way to get from who we are today to where God calls us to be is vision. This is not breaking news here. This is not a new idea that I came up with. It was one of the minor prophets in the Bible. And the minor prophet was named Habakkuk. 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 Okay, if you've never heard of him, it's like sort of toward the end of the Hebrew Scriptures, the Old Testament. And in the second chapter, he only wrote 3 chapters. And in the second chapter, he says, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so whoever reads it may run with it. You see, the tablet is our consciousness. It's our mind. It's our thoughts. It's what's running through. Our thoughts just sort of run through. Some come and go. Some are scattered. Vision is concrete. A tablet is concrete. It does not get withered. It doesn't run. It doesn't get wet. It doesn't fall apart. It can't be shredded up. All the things that paper or something less concrete can happen. And so the vision is a revelation. We get these ideas. They're revealed to us. Some of the greatest things that people have done in their lives, and I'm sure every one of you can share, as I can share, were not the planned events for our life. They were God, as I understand God, showing up in ways that were totally unexpected. But when we embrace God's vision for our life, things fall into place. Coincidences happen. We meet the right people. We move forward on the path. God never sets us up for failure. Remember last week I shared how sometimes we don't understand the long-term vision is a setup from that higher power active in our life. And those are the moments to trust and write down the vision. Now Habakkuk, he wrote in the late 7th century BC. And that's important because that's 2,700 years ago. So if you saw a movie about The Secret that talks about a vision board or treasure map and thought, wow, this is such a great modern idea, this treasure map. Well, Habakkuk, 2,700 years ago, said, write down the revelation and make it plain on the tablets so that whoever may read it shall run with it. And it's interesting because the first 2 chapters of the prophet, it's interesting because it's a dialogue between God and himself. And the dialogue between God and yourself, I can write maybe a little more than 2 chapters. I don't know about you. But God and myself, we could probably write a little more than 2 chapters. And the theme, the major theme of these 3 chapters, especially the first 2, is growing from confusion to the height of absolute trust in God. And that's important because when you get a vision, when you get a revelation, the first thought many times is, oh my God, how can I do this? How can I go back to school? How can I heal from this? The doctor said this. My wife said this. My husband said this. My coach said this. The nun in elementary school said this. And we immediately, the first time, remember the vision from God is always going to be the greater vision to stretch us. The vision, when it's God vision, I'm going to keep stressing that all summer because this is a spiritual skill to recognize and discern when it's our ego talking, when it's our personality talking, and when it's God breathing. And I'm telling you, God always calls us to be that much more tomorrow than we are today. To stretch that much more tomorrow than we did today. And so this major theme in Habakkuk is moving from confusion, from doubt, from everything that may show up the first time we're called to, in a direction that is great or transformative or unexpected, to the height of absolute truth in trusting God. And so the vision is what moves us. We're always, moving toward a vision. We make a decision, we get a vision, we make a decision, and then we move toward it. Now, the vision in our mind is what shapes our life. In spiritual economics, Reverend Eric Butterworth says, one of the most important aspects of the study of truth is training our eyes to see properly. One of the most important aspects in the study of truth is for us to train our eyes to see properly. What do you mean, Rev? My eyes just see and process information. No, that's not true. Absolutely not true. Our eyes, our ears focus in on certain slices of the whole spectrum that we can see or hear. The same with our ears. Jesus says a lot, let him who have ears hear. And that seems like, well, doesn't everybody have ears? Let me give you an example. If you have a child or a niece or a nephew or a godson or a goddaughter, okay? That child can be in a playground with 50 children. And you can be sitting talking with your friend. And if that one child gets hurt and makes a small little noise, your ear is tuned in to your child to know, to get up that something is wrong. Even though there's the noise, the playground, the laughing, the children, the background noise, the cars, whatever it may be, if the one child that is in your care at that moment makes a sound that is out of the ordinary sound for a child to be in a playground, you will jump out of your seat. Why? Because you have ears to hear that specific boy or girl. And so the vision in our mind, the same way Eric Butterworth is saying, we have to train our eyes to see truth. Because our eyes can look at a situation and say, this is hopeless. And our eyes can look at a situation and say, there's a breakthrough here. And so training our eyes begins with our attitude about life. See, our eyes process what we're expecting to see. And so if we're expecting to see the challenge, we process a challenge, we look for it, we hear for it, and we actually create. If we're expecting to see the breakthrough, we look for it, we search out the whole spectrum for that one little idea that will bring us to the breakthrough, because we're holding the vision of a breakthrough in this situation. So our attitude about life, which is the invisible spiritual soul part of us, actually focuses our vision. And that's what Aaron Butterworth means, to train our eyes to see properly. See, because our attitude about life, our attitude, has a profound effect on how we see ourselves first. And we can never have a vision bigger than how we see ourselves. We have to see ourselves as what? As powerful, as co-creating with God, as on a journey, as able to overcome, as healthy, as whole. We cannot see ourselves held back and then expect to move forward. And so the real success that I'm going to focus on today always comes from pictures that are within us. See, we see what? Pictures. But we see inside of us pictures before we see. Did you catch that? That was worth the price of admission today. Okay, that was right. We see pictures inside of us before we see anything. And so, whenever there is an opportunity or a challenge shows up, first is to look within and observe what we are seeing. Are we seeing lack? Are we seeing a breakthrough? Are we seeing failure? Or are we seeing miracle? Because every accomplishment begins with me. And if I want to change the outcome of a situation, it begins with changing that picture I see in my head. It absolutely begins, because the picture becomes the vision, it becomes the goal, it becomes what we shoot for, it becomes what we expect. And then in consciousness, it becomes literally what we paint and draw, stroke by stroke, experience by experience, decision by decision, conclusion by conclusion, contemplation by contemplation. You see, when we are seeing lack in the picture inside of us, we have blinders on to anything that shows abundance. When we are seeing sickness and insecurity on a picture that we created in our mind, there can be security and health hitting us over the head, and we won't see it. Every accomplishment begins with that picture that we create, and often it's a first impression. Often it's not based upon the whole truth. Often we have to fix it, we have to recolor it, we have to edit it, just like photographers have to, fix pictures before we are going to sell one professionally. We have to, change the hues and darken it and sharpen it and crop it and all these things that we have to do to that first impression to say, oh, yes, you're God, you can stay. Oh, no, you're my ego, you're my juvenile, fears, you're my unhealed inner child issues, you're my doubt. No, 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 no. I don't want to look at you in the picture of my mind, because if I look at you in the picture of my mind, I'm going to project you into my life. And I don't want unhealed inner child issues. I don't want fears. I don't want sickness. I don't want doubt. I don't want insecurity. I want God's vision for my life. Can anybody agree with me on that today? I want God's vision for my life. Because I can promise you, I don't know, but I can promise you, nobody in here came and showed up for church today because they planned to lead a mediocre life. Like, nobody woke up and said, man, I want today to be mediocre. I want it to be average. I don't want nothing good to happen. I just want to exist. No one strives for lack, for limitation, for sickness, for conflict. Nobody wakes up and plans to have lack or conflict show up in their life. It's a picture, and it's a picture that's discouraging, but like the film that used to get developed, it develops over time. The picture that we have today about ourselves, how we see ourselves operate in the world, and how we see the world treat us, is a picture that developed over time. And the pictures in our mind are what move us. They move us from one direction. They move us from where we are to where we're going. And movement then leads to momentum. Momentum is movement without any force. It just keeps rolling, rolling like a river, right? Come on, somebody, rolling. Come on. Who can do Ike Turner? Come on. Rolling like a river. Because once the river starts going, it just keeps flowing. You can never stand in the same river twice. Did you get that? You can never stand in the same river twice. Momentum, movement begins with a picture. We choose a direction. We put some energy into that direction, and life just takes over. And so these pictures in our head, they can move us closer to excellence, to vision, to goals, to transformation, to healing, to love, to joy, or they can move us away. But we're never in neutral in our consciousness. And so as we pray together, as we come to church together, the intention of everything we do is to recognize our perception about the picture, who we see in our mind, and who we see alive in situations, should be connected to God. And when we're closer to our vision and moving, the momentum is rolling closer to our vision, we are connected with that God within us, the Spirit, the activity of God, if you will. And if we need to change something, what we really need to change are negative pictures that are in our mind. What we really need to change are negative goals, doubts, fears, insecurities that say you can't, you won't, you shouldn't, you're not good enough, and you don't deserve it. These are unconscious messages. These are the messages that are underneath the message. And so modifying our thoughts is as easy as changing our mind. We can change our mind. We may have plans to go somewhere today after church. And then something different, something better may come up. We may have plans to go out, to a place to eat, and then someone may invite us and say, come on, come with me. I want to get you lunch. That's a higher idea. And so we just change our mind like that. But then with goals and vision, we get so entrenched in the excuses. We hold on to the negative picture. So I'm telling you today, I'm here to share with you that changing negative pictures and fears into a positive idea, a positive picture, a positive goal is a spiritual skill. It just does not magically happen. All right? It does not, just show up unless we realize, one, this is a negative picture and I don't like it. Two, this is not God's vision for my life. And three, I want to change my mind so I stop moving in the direction of this negativity. And this is simple, but it's complex. It's simple because we can change our mind about anything on a moment's notice. It's complex because we have to keep changing our mind to break away from who we were and who we thought we were. And so it's 1,000 little decisions until we make that new picture, just as it takes 1,000 brush strokes, if you will, to make the whole painting complete. And so if the painting that we have in our life, the vision that we have in our life today, is one that is negative and lacking and fear-based, 1,000 different experiences and ideas and moments and setbacks and hurts went into that picture. And to honor it, we have to say, okay, one by one, every time that fear-based, negative, less than God's vision for my life picture shows up, I just have to stroke one new idea over it, one new color, one new brush stroke. And then after a while, see, our life, we realized yesterday at the Discover the Power Within You, is our life is a lot of little decisions that add up when we don't notice it. The ocean is a lot of little individual drops of water that just collected together and became the ocean. And so that's how our consciousness is. It's a lot of different little ideas and thoughts and beliefs and attitudes and prejudices and fears and confidences and encouragement and inspirations and friendships, and all of that just drop by drop fill up. And then we end up with this consciousness. And so if we want to clean out the consciousness, there is no magic way. Drop by drop by drop. Yes, God. Yes, God. Yes, God. Daily prayer, daily word, affirmation, call silent unity. We do it in the same way that we created it. And as we continue to keep on the new momentum, the new direction, negative ideas lose their strength in our life. And so I want you to look at the person next to you and say, listen, man, or listen, woman, you have a choice. Say it, you have a choice. You have a choice to change the picture. If I came out, now you know I take a picture now and again, right? And if I came up to you, with my phone and took this picture of you and you didn't like the picture, what would you tell me? Would I say, can I put this on Facebook? What would you say? Okay? So it's the same we can do in our mind. Delete. You're not from God. Delete. When we yearn for anything good and more of anything good in our life, we are truly, really craving for more of God to come forth in that experience. In God, there is always a choice. There is always a higher outcome. And I'll tell you, you will recognize and know it's God when it is a solution and a breakthrough. God brings us solutions. God brings us breakthroughs. And so it really is true what the ancient psalmist David said, as a man thinketh, so is he. As we think, we become our life. And my prayer for each one of us every Sunday is that we leave here with a different picture than we came in. If we came in feeling sad, we leave here a little lifted up. We leave here with a different idea. We leave here with a different belief, even if it's ever so tiny or ever so subtle. Week after week, class after class, prayer after prayer, God is cumulative. And it is through this journey that we call life that we embrace more of God. This Tuesday, we are going to put some feet behind that prayer. My prayer is that every Sunday, we focus in on God's vision and create that picture more and more. And this Tuesday, we're going to have a workshop here and make vision boards. We are going to make the vision boards. We are going to put it on the wall. We are going to let ourselves see it over and over and over again. You see, power is the ability to produce change. And our beliefs, come on up, Tim. Our beliefs hold a passive power. Old beliefs, old ideas, old visions, they do have a passive power. But focused thought, new pictures, they demonstrate active power in our life. That's a decision that we have made to identify a vision, and that's what Tuesday's workshop is going to be about. Tuesday's workshop, we're going to create vision boards with a deadline. The deadline will be December 31st, 2012. So the vision that we're going to create is what we want to attract, who we want to become, and what we want to express between now and December 12th. And we're going to meet Tuesday night. Everyone is invited. And as I conclude, I want to tell you a story about a lady. It's from the Bible, the 5th chapter of Mark. And this lady, she had some issues. You know anybody with issues? No. Anybody maybe in the mirror this morning you seen a lady or a man with issues? I did. But I know. There's this lady and she had some issues, Tim. Some real issues. And she tried everything. She spent all her money. She went to every doctor. She went to homeopathic healers. She went to Reiki. She did everything. Anything that was available to heal her, this lady did. And she never got better. She heard that Jesus was coming to town. And so she got a picture in her mind. See, what it doesn't say in the Bible story is she had a picture. The minute she heard that healing was available, in her mind, she saw a picture that changed everything. She forgot about spending on health care. She forgot about the doctor. She forgot about the Reiki. She forgot about all the things that she'd been doing for 12 years and instantly got a picture. And the picture said, if I can meet this guy, I will be healed. And she held that picture, and she held that picture, and she saw this in her mind before he ever even came to town. She believed that picture and she thought about it. And the day came where he showed up, and guess what? It was too crowded and she couldn't get to meet him. She couldn't get to pray from him. She didn't get a meeting with him. She didn't get anything. But she had the picture that if I could just get into his presence, I will be healed. And you know the story. She reached out, she touched the hem of the garment, and she was healed. And then when the healer, the master, was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. He's like, I didn't do a thing. He's like, lady, your faith made you well. But what really made her well was the picture in her head that she held on to and believed. Now remember, she had tried everything for 12 years. So if anybody had the right to be hopeless, it was that. The 12 represents fulfillment. The 12 represents completion. And so the next verse that Habakkuk the prophet says is, for the revelation awaits its appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and not delay. Remember, when it's God's vision, it's inevitable. Like Jonah, we can run, but we can't hide because it's God's vision in our life. If there's resistance in an area of our life, let it go and change direction. If there is something calling us, accept it and change direction. Our mind sees the vision, and there is a vision of excellence in this house today. You know it. Write the vision down every week. Make it plain. Post it where you can see it. And let God do the rest, because once we have a picture and we believe that picture, it's already done. And so it is, and it shall be. God bless you. God bless you, everyone. Thank you.